Some of these exams are long. Some of them are 6, 7 hours long. So you do have to be prepared for that. First of all, you have to know, are you a morning person? Are you an afternoon person? When you schedule your exam, you could have a morning or an afternoon. So a lot of this is going to be individual. What are your strengths and weaknesses?
Since the exam is so detailed and there's just so much material, what is a good amount of time that people should allocate to studying for this exam if they are really dedicated and trying to get this done on the first attempt? How much time should they have studied, prepared before taking this exam?
That's a great question. And once again, it's a little bit tailored to the individual. It depends on how many days a week you have to dedicate to this. And it depends on how good of a test taker you are too. Everybody has their talents. Some people are really, really good in the field and they're not such good test takers and they know it. Some people are good test takers and they may not be all that great in the field, or they may or may not be. So first of all, you have to know your strengths and weaknesses. And of course, it works the other way as well. If you're not a good test taker, you're going to have to allot yourself some more time. A good guideline, I would say, of course, sometimes you're in a hurry and you're going to have to shorten that time frame. Sometimes you have a little extra time, but I would say a good time frame would be in Florida. For the Florida exams, it would be about 3 months for the business and finance and then 3 months for the trade, somewhere in there. And that would give you enough time. If you purchase the classes where you have the virtual Zoom classes as well, that would be enough time where you could participate in several of the classes as well as doing some practice exams and some studying on your own as well. I think that's probably about as optimistic as you can be for your average person. Of course, you can shorten that time. You can do some tutoring. You can do some one-on-one work with somebody if there's a time crunch involved and you have to get your license in a month. It can be done. Of course, you've got your issues with, is the exam available to be taken? You have to schedule that, and sometimes it's 4 to 6 weeks out before you can even sit for the exam. So that's something that you want to think about as well. Once you start your classes, you don't want to wait till you're ready to take the exam to schedule it. You have to realize you could be easily 4 to 6 weeks out. So once you start to get your rhythm or your stride, then it's probably time to go ahead and schedule that exam, even before you're actually ready, because there's going to be a delay there. Another thing is, by the way, you can, if you don't pass the exam the first time or whenever you don't pass the exam, you are allowed, I think it's a $40 fee. They will show you what you missed on the exam. That's a valuable tool.
Yeah, for $40, it seems like a no-brainer. And so what would you say are some good game day tips? It's exam day. What should someone be doing on that day? Mindset, the whole thing. Where should someone be on the day of that exam? What should they be preparing themselves for? How long is that day? What kind of preparation goes into that test-taking day? I think some people forget, a lot of us haven't been in school in so long, we forget how these long format exams work, and we just don't prepare for game day to the best of our ability because we just forget how long those days can be. Should we take snacks? Should I take water? How much sleep should I get? So what are some game day tips you would give someone that's about to take this exam?
Some of these exams are long. Some of them are 6, 7 hours long. So you do have to be prepared for that. First of all, you have to know, are you a morning person? Are you an afternoon person? When you schedule your exam, you could have a morning or an afternoon. So a lot of this is going to be individual. What are your strengths and weaknesses? Of course, the good night's sleep. I would not stay up all night studying. Get your studying done previously, the night before. You're definitely going to need that good night's sleep for the exam. Also, as far as snacks are concerned, if you're going to need a snack, I would bring, especially in the 6 and 7 hour exams, bring some crackers or chips or bring you some bottled water. Now, generally in the Pearson VUE testing centers, they'll have lockers for you. You'll go in, you're going to have to empty out all your pockets. They're very strict about some type of cheating going on or anything like that. You're not going to be able to take anything that's unauthorized into the actual test itself. You're definitely going to want to make sure you have a calculator that you're familiar with. Make sure that you're using the calculator that you've been using to study with, because there are different calculators. They do work differently. I'll give you an example. When you're doing the business exam, you're doing a lot of percentages. Now, there are two different types of calculators for percentages. There's one where you do your calculation and you hit the percent key and your answer comes up, and that's great. That's the kind that I like to use. But there's also the type of calculator where you do your calculation, you hit the percent key, and then you have to hit the equal sign for your answer to come up. Why they make two different type of calculators that way, I don't know. They didn't ask me when they made them. But be aware that there are two different types of calculators, and if your math skills aren't that strong, that can be something that can be really confusing. You can't take your phone in, so you can't use your calculator on your phone, so make sure that you have a separate calculator, and then use that percent key and get familiar with when you're doing your business calculations, get familiar with it. So back to the lockers, you can put stuff in a locker, and you know your own body. Are you going to have to stop? Are you going to have to get something to eat in that time frame that you have? And if so, make sure that you bring something. Now, they do not stop the clock, though. When you stop to get your snack or get your water or whatever you want to get or go to the bathroom, the clock continues to run. So make sure that whatever you do bring for a snack is something that's not going to take very long to eat. And of course, your medicine and all that stuff. Those are some things that you definitely want to consider.
Yeah, that's great. That's something that I feel like is easily an oversight. People just space and can forget, I'm going to have to eat this day.
That's right. Or your calculator. I take these exams and I don't have to have a calculator because it's not so imperative that I pass. And I actually didn't have a calculator when I was going to take one of these exams. It was in a city that I wasn't familiar with. And I said, okay, well, I'll just stop at a Walmart and I'll pick up a calculator. Then I ran into morning traffic and I couldn't find a Walmart. And then I finally found a Lowe's and I went in there, 20 people in line, and time was pressing. And here, I didn't even have to pass the exam. If I was stressed out and had to pass the exam, that would be a pretty big deal. So don't wait till the morning of your exam to buy a calculator.